Hey guys, welcome back to the Kool-Aid Podcast. Welcome back to another video. And on today's video, guys, we're going to be talking about our Spanish superstars in Lamine Yamal and Pedri, as they were two key figures in Spain's victory over France yesterday, 5-4, in which it did result in that Spanish victory, which now leads them to be playing the Nations League final this weekend. They had an absolutely amazing performance. We're going to be talking about them. And then as well, talking about Nico Williams. Could that saga be back on? But guys, before I get started on the video, make sure to follow me on all my social media platforms. Everything's posted down below in the description. Go over there and check me out. That way you guys to stay up to date with everything that I do on the channel. And as always, the link to become a member is also posted down below. But guys, let's get started with the video. All right, guys, let's get started with the video and let's talk about Lamine Yamal, because Lamine Yamal was absolutely unstoppable in yesterday's match against France in a game where, the narrative was coming. France, they're going to have Mbappe, they're going to have Dembele, the world's best player, Due, Olise, all these stars and everything. Who is going to show up when the lights are brightest? There was a lot of talk, especially from the journalists, trying to get, some reaction out of Lamine Yamal, saying, hey, if you were to decide who to give the Ballon d'Or to, who would you give it to? Lamine Yamal, we talked about this before on the channel, but Lamine Yamal responded and said, hey, I'd give it to the player who was the best throughout the year, not because of this singular game, but if you want to decide it in or just a singular game, then so be it. Lamine Yamal, he risked it all. He risked his aura, and he showed up, because Lamine Yamal, he put in a crazy performance in yesterday's game. I believe he finished with 2 goals and 1 assist. It was absolutely amazing from Lamine. Right here, you see Theo Hernández, absolutely just grabbing Lamine Yamal like from his hip, trying to stop him, and you had Lamine Yamal scoring, absolutely demolishing France and everything. You see this picture right here, which I believe is going to become an iconic moment, because you're literally witnessing Lamine Yamal create history. Because Lamine Yamal, at 17 years of age, and when everything is, saying, hey, pressure is on him, he shows up. He shows up. When you look at his stats throughout the entirety of the season, not only was he the man of the match in yesterday's match alongside all those stars, when you look at his season, he has 55. He played 55 games, 18 goals scored, and 25 assists. That is Lamine Yamal. I would really say second real season, because he played a lot under Xavi in last season, which we ended up trophyless. But I would say this is like his first full on season, which this higher level responsibility. And there are even reports that are saying that like Lamine Yamal, he's going to be wanting to take on even more responsibility, taking on the free kicks, taking on the penalties, and just being a leader and a figure for this Barcelona team, which he already is. But there is a narrative that is going around in the media that is saying Lamine Yamal is arrogant, that he's getting too cocky, et cetera, et cetera. He's backing it up, which I'm completely fine with. But Lamine Yamal, I've seen him to be very much grounded. There is, I would say, a narrative, of course, from haters, from people who want to see Lamine Yamal fail, from Madrid fans, et cetera, that are painting this picture of Lamine Yamal, which I don't think is accurate. Because after the match, there's one sentence that was taken out of context. And it was this sentence in the first paragraph that says, and well, I always say the most important thing is to speak on the pitch. That was taken out of context, and people were saying, oh, this guy's getting too arrogant, he's getting too cocky. But when you look at the entire, question that was asked by him by the reporter, he was asked about Dembele, about the Ballon d'Or, how we didn't see much of Dembele, he absolutely ghosted, and that's supposedly the best player in the world. Lamine Yamal, he responded, he says, no, well, I always say this, I tell my mother the same thing. When there's a big game, I try to give it my all. That's what motivates me. That's why I play football, why I get up every morning. And well, I always say the most important thing is to speak on the pitch. Dembele is a fantastic player. We saw that in the Champions League, but I'm really happy about reaching the final. And so Lamine Yamal, he's saying the right things, but the media is taking, snippets out of his, quotes, and making this whole big deal, and just portraying Lamine Yamal as a person who, is confident. He is confident. He does, if someone provokes him, he's going to respond. He's going to put a post on Instagram. He's going to, show it out there on the pitch. And he isn't. He shows that he's in a player that is afraid to get dirty, but he's in a player that is just being arrogant, being cocky for no apparent reason. No, I definitely see him as a player who is grounded. When we talk about Lamine Yamal, guys, it's absolutely crazy to think that Lamine Yamal is literally creating history because in tomorrow's match. No, not in tomorrow's, but in this weekend's match, if he is able to win Spain's that nation league, then he'd be basically surpassing Ronaldo's legacy, basically his international legacy, and Ronaldo is a figure in the world of football that is iconic. A player who has won so much, has created so many memories for us footballing fans. That it's scary to think that this is Lamine at 17, and in a couple years, by the time he reaches 20, he could literally have won everything there is in the world of football. He could potentially win the World Cup next year in the Americas. He can win the Champions League, hopefully with Barcelona. And he'd be literally winning everything before the age of 20. That is crazy to think about. But even though Lamine Yamal, he had a fantastic performance, it wasn't only him. We also have to talk about Pedri, because Pedri, he was absolutely phenomenal as well. Pedri, I want to show this touch right here, because Pedri, he was given a pass and it was slightly behind him, and he has that little dink in behind that allows him to carry the ball into his stride. And it was a moment of magic from Pedri, because I still think that he's heavily underrated, because we've seen the best midfielder in the world this season and there isn't enough credit being given towards him. When you talk about his achievements, his performances, you see direct comparisons with Vitinha, for example, for his campaign with PSG. I understand that Vitinha is absolutely phenomenal, but I just see Pedri as just in a whole different level. And he was absolutely key in Spain's fourth goal, beating Magnon right here, and Pedri was absolutely phenomenal. He was absolutely brilliant, and Spain as a whole, they look absolutely fantastic. I would say only behind Argentina. You could say that they're among the best teams in the world. I believe FIFA, they've ranked them actually as the number 2 team in their rankings and everything, just behind Argentina. And so Spain, they're heavy favorites for that World Cup coming next year. It's going to be an interesting tournament for the Spaniards. Let's see if our Barca boys can gain some international accolades. But I can't talk about Spain's victory over France without talking about Nico Williams, because when you saw the combination between Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal, you're thinking, oh my God, the amount of chances, the beautiful football that this team is playing. It was absolutely phenomenal. Nico Williams, he truly had a fantastic performance. He scored Spain's first goal, constantly, causing danger down, Spain's left-hand side, being an outlet, trying to go 1v1. And when you think about Nico Williams, when you think about his connection with the Barca players, which is very different to that of his style at Athletic Club, where you're not gonna have your Pedris, you're not gonna have your Lamine Yamal, your Dani Olmo, for example, your Pau Guarci, even though he didn't play. But I do think that Nico Williams would be just a perfect a player suited for Barcelona. You just slot him there in that left wing position, and you have the duo of Lamine Yamal on one side and Nico Williams on the other, and that just fills me with excitement. I know throughout the season I've been critical of Nico Williams, and rightfully so. He didn't have a particularly great season necessarily. He was inconsistent, through large periods of time. But when you look at Nico Williams, when you think of what he can offer, especially looking at the market, when you're thinking about your Luis Diaz, which is now ruled out with for Barcelona is no longer in the running for him. He's a perfect market opportunity, a player who is very close with the Barcelona players, a player who is a profile that we do need at the club, and a player who I think would just slot in perfectly. You're thinking, we have to go for Barca. We have to go for Nico Williams. He is Barcelona's number 1 priority for that left wing position. And we talk about Barcelona, what they think about his performance, and whether Barcelona are going to be going after him this summer. According to reports, Barcelona, they are fully aware of the admiration that Nico has within the fans. They know that we want him to come to Barcelona, but something that is going to play a part is the emotional aspect and his rejection last season. Because if we do have to be honest, Nico Williams, he was sort of saying, hey, Barcelona, come and see if we can make this signing possible. But at the same time, he wasn't really playing ball with Barcelona because he wasn't communicating with Barcelona. There were multiple moments when you think, for example, where he had that I believe that shirt moment with the new kit with Athletic Club and everything, and you're thinking, hey, if you're going to be leaving Athletic Club and joining Barcelona, then why are you doing these certain things and everything? And also Nico Williams. As well, just problems with the registration and everything. The signing didn't materialize, and so when you're looking at it from a Barcelona perspective, you're thinking, should we go after a player who sort of rejected us, who sort of didn't want to come, but at the same time, had that inclination towards Barcelona. He didn't want to leave Athletic Club because of that Europa League final, which they didn't win and everything. But I think Barcelona, they can't let those emotions, play a factor into this when you're thinking about the opportunity that Nico Williams can give you and the impact. It's something that we have to go for. We know that Barcelona, they do have the funds. If you're going to be go after Luis Diaz, you should have the funds to make this signing possible. The wages would be a problem. He's highly paid at Athletic Club, and to join Barcelona, he is going to be wanting to either maintain that wage structure or at least increase it. And so we're going to have to see what happens. But at the end of the day, guys, Spain, the way they play with that partnership of Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal, Pedri right there in the 10. You can bring in Dani Olmo, Ferran when he plays, Pau Cuarsi. It's very similar to that of a Barcelona. And the football that they play is beautiful to see. And if Hansi Flick, and once you bring Nico Williams to Barcelona, you can just have that at Barcelona. You've seen how Hansi Flick has been able to transform the way we play it, and I think it's a matter of signing the paperwork and making the signing happen. But guys, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. What do you guys make of everything I've discussed in today's video? Lamine Yamal, absolutely unstoppable against France. He's going to be facing up against CR7 in the Nations League final. Pedri, absolutely brilliant as well in the midfield. And what do you guys make of a resurgence in Nico Williams? Should Barcelona be going after him? Let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. And as always, guys, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys all on the next video. Peace out, guys.